Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey friends, you're watching BrainStormAcres. I'm Henry.
And I'm Irene.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about the rest of the story about our water.
Right. You know, when you move someplace, you have some basic requirements. Source of power, source of water, source of food, protection from the elements. And we thought we had it pretty well sewed up.
Well, we did for 14 years.
Yeah. When we were gradually adding some rainwater collection just because we like rainwater collection, and also the water that we collect from the sky is a little less alkaline than the water we can get here from the ground. Besides, it doesn't cost us anything except for the infrastructure to collect it. And when we moved here, I want to say there were 5 or 6 water companies working out here.
There are about 5, and what's happened in the ensuing 14 years is our preferred water company was sold once to a person who kind of screwed things up and had to give the company back.
Right, and he had to take the original owner had to take the guy to court. And, it was quite a scene.
Yeah, it was a big mess, is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So then Jim sold the company to another person,
Mm-hmm.
who was kind of a no-show for quite a while. So we ended up going to another water company who was a really great young fellow. He built a nice truck. He had everything that you might want to know. He had the amount of chlorine that was in the water.
Yeah.
So when he delivered it to your place, you found all that out.
Right.
And he delivered on time.
You could set your watch by him. And if he was going to be early, he was almost never late. If he was going to be early, he would call you and say, "Is it okay if I come early?"
And of course we said, "No, don't come."
No, no, it was like, "Sure, let yourself in, it's fine,
So that fellow decided that he had a better opportunity someplace else, which we perfectly understand.
And we knew there was a limited time frame on that. We just thought we had another year.
Yeah, no, we didn't.
And he got an offer that was too good to turn down, so he left.
He's now in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
We wish him the best. He's a really
awesome.
great guy.
He was awesome.
So let's see. Then the water company got sold again.
Mm-hmm.
The one that we preferred to start with got sold again.
Mm-hmm.
And the new owner figured out that the old company had a bunch of debts that were a problem. So I think she basically took on the customers. And the old phone number no longer worked.
Right.
So it took us a while to figure that out. And
right.
we got connected up with the new owner,
Mm-hmm.
who's a really nice person.
Right,
really
and that worked fine for a couple of months.
And then
that went to hell in the handbags. She bought another company in addition to the one that she'd already bought. And there was trouble with trucks, and there was trouble with drivers. And it's been a cluster. She'll think that we've received water, and we haven't. And you'll call, and the mailbox is full.
The long and the short of it was that all of a sudden we have 7,500 gallons. Actually, we have almost 8,200 gallons worth of water storage in our tanks up on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
We got down to our last tank. We'd been calling. We were scheduled for a Monday, and then Monday came and went, and Tuesday came and went.
And we were down to our last few hundred gallons. Now, this is the hottest, driest part of the year. It's the beginning of the monsoon season for us, which is when we get a significant portion of our yearly rainfall. But the monsoons were coming late.
Well, let's see. We went to pick up a few things from a friend of ours in Joseph City, which is about 120, 130 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
And we came back to find out, well, our garden had been pummeled by a hailstorm.
It was a hailstorm while we were gone.
A pretty big, nasty hailstorm.
Yeah. Some of the beds weren't too bad. They were just a few leaves knocked down.
The tomatoes and the ground cherries really got the tar knocked out of them.
Well, there was one tomato bed that there were a dozen tomatoes out in the pathway, just bashed out of the bed and on the ground.
Now, normally we have row cover over the top of the tomatoes. But the size of the hail that came down, the row covers would have had holes put through them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I took a bunch of pictures of the poor bean beds. That one bean bed is cursed this year. First we planted it, came up like a dream. Just really good germination. Squirrel. Decided it was great to bite them off and take them away. Took care of the squirrel. That stopped. Got a few rats too that were trying to do some damage. That stopped. Replanted. The new ones are just coming up.
They were looking really great.
They were really great. And a whole stack of them are literally broken in half because the hail came down so hard. And the leaves that aren't just plain torn off, and there's whole sections that are torn off the tops because this particular type of green bean, they put up a sort of a central area to them, the bush bean, and put flowers out on top. Makes it super easy to pick. Except when it's broken off.
Well, it's not existent, so there's no flowers, so there's no beans.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how the plants come back.
In any case, we got to go to Joseph City
Right.
to help our friend
Mm-hmm.
and to pick up a few things, which was really great. We got back and we found all
A
this
mess.
hail damage.
Right.
Now, because we were having this problem with not getting water, I went through a lot of pain and suffering and spent an awful lot of money that I really didn't want to spend. That we really didn't.
That
have
was
to spend.
last week. We did. And it was really it chewed up the whole week because the water didn't come on Monday. The water didn't come on Tuesday. We're getting pretty desperate at this point. We're down to 300 gallons of water for everything. I mean, we're not showering. We're not flushing the toilet more than we have to. We're saving all the water for the
No dishes.
no dishes. We're using paper plates, which
No
is something
laundry.
we hate doing. No laundry. And it was just like, okay, we're desperate at this point.
I spent the better part of a day finding tires. I actually started the night before. I told Irene, tomorrow I'm going to have to go replace those tires.
Right.
I'm not going to pull that trailer. It's only 2.5 miles to the water station from our house.
Right.
It's a really easy drive. It doesn't take long.
Right.
But it is over a dirt road that gets a little bumpy and a little rough. And those tires were at least 20 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there were big cracks on them.
Sidewall cracks, the whole thing.
And the last thing I wanted to do is have a ton and a quarter of water on that trailer and have.
Well, I've
the
seen
tire
people
go
out here roll trailers that way before.
So we weren't going to do that. So I started checking around, and about 10 o'clock in the morning, I found somebody who actually had 4 tires
In stock.
In stock.
Because everybody said the same thing. We can order those.
We can get them next week.
And then we're like, yeah, what are we supposed to do for a week?
So I spent the better part of Wednesday taking the wheels off, driving the 40 minutes to the place that had the tires, getting the tires put on, bringing them back, and then spending a couple of hours getting those particular wheels back on the trailer. It's been at least, I would guess, 45 years since I've had to mess around with that kind of a wheel at all. Getting them off was no big deal. It was work, but they came off just fine. I knew I'd done some work by the end of that day. It was a lot of
I
work.
believe I cooked dinner that night.
So I started hauling water. It's 300 gallons per load at a time,
Right.
which does a little bit more than take care of our daily needs for the garden when we're watering the garden well and we're running the evaporative cooler. Now, the 5 or 6 days when we were short on water, we were really skimping, which means we weren't watering the garden as much as we know it needed.
Right, and they kept promising rain. So we would get
Well, the weather
the powers that
forecasters.
be, yes. The weather forecast people kept promising rain, so we'd get overcast, which means lousy solar, which means you have to run the generator, but we weren't getting a drop of rain. Or maybe we would literally get a drop of rain. The flagstone outside wasn't even getting wet. You'd see a drop here and a drop there. That's it. That doesn't do anything for anybody.
Well, we finally got some precipitation, only it wasn't rain, it was hail.
It was mostly hail yesterday.
And
Did get rain last night.
And we got some rain last night, and we got some more rain today. Fortunately, I was able to haul about 10 or 11 loads of water, so about 3,000 or 3,300 gallons of water that I put back into the tanks over the past, gosh, it's been a week now. So I've managed to keep ahead of the amount of water that we needed to use, And our water company came through. I told them go ahead and bring one load.
One load,
and,
that's it.
And put it in.
Yeah.
Because I just spent almost $500 on tires.
Yeah.
That wasn't planned in the budget. So
no, they sort of screwed things up this month.
In any case, that's the whole story. Well, more or less the whole story about water. But at least that chapter is done with, we think. Right now, I've got another problem with the water trailer because I can't get the trailer off the truck. Right. So I have to figure out how to get the trailer off the truck.
Something is stuck in the hitch. I think we'll see if we can squirt some WD-40 and just leave it overnight and see what happens then.
Yeah, what she doesn't know is I already used a bunch of aerocroil oil, which is a really, really good penetrating oil.
Right.
So I have to figure out how to take that apart.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll figure that out and get that done.
We got 2/100ths of an inch of rain last night.
Woo!
Yeah, really, really.
Before we close out, I do want to answer one question that I'm sure a lot of people are asking, which is, why don't we have rainwater catchment? The answer is we do, and we'll be adding more. The problem is we used up all of that water earlier. The monsoons have not come on the regular schedule this year, so that wouldn't have helped. Why don't we drill a well? Do you know why we don't drill a well, Irene?
Yeah, $80,000 for a well here.
1,300 feet down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, some places you can get it for 1,200 feet.
But it's a hole in the ground that's a crapshoot. You don't know whether or not it's going to produce water that's usable or not.
Right.
So you have to be willing to spend $80,000 for a questionable water supply. I hope that this has provided a little bit of an insight into our piece of off-grid living and our water woes that have only been happening recently.
Right, right.
So, thanks very much for watching. Take care of yourself. Enjoy your water wherever you are.
Really. There's some people who are getting a lot. There's storm warnings for the Texas coast right now.
So take care, and we'll talk with you later. Bye.
Bye.